Hi, my name is Saran, and 9 years ago when I had my stroke, I thought being paralysed completely on my left and needing to learn to walk again and trying to make my arm work was the worst thing that could have happened. Instead, what I had to deal with and what's been the hardest is the grief and loss of who I was pre-stroke to who I now am post-stroke. I was a mother of three, am a mother of three who were 3, 7 and 9, and I managed a national software company, and I would travel to New Zealand once a month for a week at a time, and I did that for 18 months before the stroke. And suddenly I'm completely wheelchair bound. I can't even roll over in bed without someone having to put a quilt on me. And who am I? What am I to do now? My first year was spent going to therapy and then going to bed, and I literally existed in my house. I was an emotional wreck. Mainly my kids heard me crying and screaming and just completely exhausted. My fatigue I couldn't cope with. I didn't even know what that was. I just knew I had to sleep all the time. And I rang Stroke Line in the first 12 months, after the first 12 months, and spoke with Di and spoke with Simone, and they were fantastic. And they helped me see hope and know that it was going to be okay. And that helped. But I was still in denial. I was still thinking that I was going to get back to what I was before the stroke. So I had this ridiculous, sort of expectation, and so I worked harder and harder, but then I got more tired and more frustrated, and then more tired. It just kept going around in circles. And to try and accept who I was, try and accept the fact that I was disabled, was big. It was hard, and I think it took me a good 3 years for me to actually sort of say, I'm disabled and I will be for the rest of my life. And again, that's that acceptance of, and in some ways it felt like a failure, even though I know honestly that it's not a failure. This is a trauma that's happened to me, and I now just go with it, and I want to try and live my best life. I didn't have anything to do with other stroke survivors. I didn't want anything to do with anyone else for a good 4 years. And when I connected up with the Genius Network, wow, that feeling of isolation and disconnection, which I didn't know what it was at the time, it stopped, because I was able to meet other people who had the same experience, who had the same sadness and grief and losses that I did. And that helped me start moving forward to live my best life. I suppose what I do now is, when I am feeling down, because I still do feel down, I spend time with my family, or I catch up with the community of Genius in coffee clubs or on social media page on Facebook. And that's what gets me through. I know that people have got my back, my family and my community, and that's how I deal with it. So I would love to hear your stories, how you deal with the grief. We need to talk about it, because we can't keep shoving it under the doormat, which is what I did for 4 years, and I really wish I hadn't. So let's start the conversation, and I'd love to hear from you. How do you deal with it? What advice do you have for other people? Can't wait to hear from you. Thanks.